다들은 아주 내가 추튼진 고송 주송하던 아랑 근근에 배마시 가오종 손시.
So I'm very happy to be able to begin another session of Dharma in this place.
단디 소강 난데는 아주 추시에는 파체다 로 니스진 호요르지. 되게 유름니 다든디 나는 유바다 마세 바 추투리 값서 애니 에시아의 손이 말레이시아다 싱가포르당 아니 타나양 자가당 아니 지 자벨레 사자 가사가니 아니 아메리카 가데 사자 마다와 만보지니 단디 로니드 주네 아니 통거요래 아니 말레페 핀도 야부 총송 데네도 자네 아니 지란서 참만딩 강바가 나보라 아니 내 지란서 투지치 슌인도 송시더래.
So it's been going on 2 years that I've been teaching Dharma in this facility, and not only that, but our weekly practices on Mondays. And when we do, there's many times that it's streamed out worldwide, where people, especially in Malaysia, Singapore, South India, and places all around the United States, are people who are watching and very much appreciating it. So it's been very beneficial, and so I want to ask everyone and myself as well again to thank the Wave Street Studio people and for their kindness.
디 고갑데 주네 따드랭 다 말레이시아단 싱가포르 디 소니 나가 로마 지난주디 로니 그 주네 나 통대 그 유리 내 지난주 통거 유 말이 때 이나양 고갑데 주네 지난주라 트라시딜레스 감르쇼인스.
And in particular those students in Singapore and Malaysia who can see me now, I can't see you, but I want to wish you all Tashidele greetings.
야, 다들은 아주 네 소강나나 들은 게 주시야 돼. 아니 생거 토니. 범작 단데 주시야 되지.
So I'll be explaining something this evening about mind, about meditation.
당내 남주 주시를 값서 개 친구거네 주셔야 돼. 니몽그 니보. 던데지는 로고와 유드자니 대라양 문로다 무지하시네. 삽지 니거거네 시에게요시.
So when I teach, I usually explain 2 stages of a preliminary stage and then our actual practice. And the nature of Dharma is that it's meant to act as a remedy to delusions, to afflicted states of mind.
어떤데 자네 다들 중의지도 마시를 하나 네 나랑 그 공통 야보지 아니 대다 찹직도 아니 나랑 그 자와라마다 아니 다가나 유벨라마라 소발라 측강 효로가 이게 아니 모남지 소와진데 쳐하지 지난주 고갑되어 지시.
And so I'm going to adjust my motivation, to set my motivation now with a bit of recitation, together with prayers to my teacher, my spiritual teacher, and the lineage of the masters of these teachings. And I'd like to ask you to set your motivation in positive direction also now, at the same time.
대심산제 담제 정오의 단제 권을 잡지 찹다 가든 손밤이 배반권 진진자와 남의 샵제들 마음이 바람 고외르드드드 그 배산 자신 잡순지 어주순지 라바른제드 솔 Ninje Jimbo de Nime de Zene Molam Jimbo Abjada, Bekatan Bansin de Semedo, Mbatu Jeji Langusan, Omin Chujinje, Podone, Adesum Sanje Kunjang Oni. Rasim Jugung Sum Dunzeba, Zavalame Shabla Soan de Yonde Sanje Kundanyam Naya, Kadin Sanje Kue Labengo, Zavalame Shabla Soan de Nelo Doba Jevara Sinjelo. Kada Subje Donggenji Dena, the Jelomara Jeba Kang Soda, Tender de Bechujin Chambelje, Simbrand de Batam Jende She, Namoria Tambala, Yegedan Lodan Jinke, Drum Dada Mayakinam Dahando, Kunjeta Gejam, Tomjeke the Dage Chutin Do. 다들은 중의지대 마주리 지난주에 마주리 흥원왕에 마실 흥원왕 은로그 주대라 한가 주지 군홍주야대 난 타다냐 베심지 탄지기 치도 삼바 가리 치등 아주 주시고 요바 가리 치등 아주 주시고 요바 대담봉 아주 군홍주네니 대삼마다야다 개침보지가 남부 추기 이송거 돈이 되게 개침보지리 성도시.
So, for our preliminary stage, let's set the motivation. For the sake of all living beings throughout space, ideally, we think about why we're teaching, why we're tending to Dharma, and to do that with a motivation that's of universal concern for all living beings.
So the
ancient masters of Tibet, called the Kadampa masters, they said that the preliminary stage was of even more profound importance than the main practice that is being done. So, even more important than the practice going well is having the good preparatory stage of setting the very pure, correct motivation for the main practice to go well as also. So the thing to understand here is that this process is one in which I seek to influence you towards mental transformation. It's not that you come here thinking, okay, we're going to talk about mind. That I'm going to talk about mind. There's nothing solid, nothing physical that I can take in my hands and put in your hands. Rather, we're talking about mind and awareness and bringing a transformation to that. So it's a communication about mental transformation. And in doing that, it's up to us, each of us, to bring about that transformation. We are the only ones that can change our mind. So here the contemplation is that all living beings have exactly the same wish for happiness, and exactly the same wish to be free of suffering as we do, and to invest ourselves in that, to feel how wonderful that would be if their wishes could be fulfilled. And so thinking that it's for that purpose that I'll listen, tend to these teachings, seek to put them into practice, these teachings on mind. And in general, when I teach about Dharma, I teach on the basis of my own experience. I'm teaching from my own experience, and particularly in the realm of mind, of practicing with awareness, working with awareness and meditation. This is where I would say I have a little bit of experience. Not much, but some. So in speaking about the mind does pervade the body, is based in the body, and we can speak about mental feelings and physical feelings. And so it's we have to give some attention to the body, in talking about how we would still the mind, how we would develop the mind.
Basic.
So I want to explain some basic things about this today.
Namju Gonjari Kapsu, Kupja Yunayandra, Kupja Mina, and it Tana De, Judumja. And it Judumja Matala Kambalayan, the Neba, the Jimbaina, Yan Kupja Tola. Takare de Yuna, and this in the top de Akarayunaya. So the Lula.
So we have to apply ourselves both, not only to the mental practice, but to the physical practice as well. And so the main point about the body is it for it to be left natural, relaxed and natural. There is a technical term called the sevenfold posture of Bharochana, the meditation posture with 7 different facets that are mentioned to it. But Rinpoche says, listen, we don't need to go into that right now, but you need to be comfortable. If you're used to sitting in a chair, for instance, you can sit in a chair.
And it didn't the Lu Yaboji Lu Jok Center, and this is Lu Jokosima, then the Sidevaina, and it seemed the Tambola there you maris.
Now, if we're slumped over, if our spine is crooked, then our mind will not stay on a straightforward track. It will not be alert.
Jimsi Kaisina Lu Tangna Zatang. Na long na sim tang. Lu na zatang.
So it said that if the body is straight, then the channels, the psychic channels in the body will be straight. And if they are straight, then the energies will flow evenly in them, which will in turn have an effect on the mind being evenly balanced. And again, straightforward.
Lutang na zatang na simtang na longtang. But the zatang na longtang na simtang. All the rich, all the day zane, ta lut kunyong bossiade. Ta lut kunyong guaina, and the Kadam gave it in Nabe, 당보 내 윈바 띵시야 지 츠들 해보도와 중심 배치 몰래 당보 빨라 아니지 신차 침보 던데 그 빨라 아니지 make you the zo now you the drandam da you sachila 아니 something 공고나 갈래 가서도 중심 델티 내 윈바 시야 돼.
So first of all, for letting the body relax, keeping the body calm, peaceful, it's recommended, especially for beginners, to find an isolated place out away from lots of stimulus. You know, if we have a lot of sights and sounds and so on bombarding us, then it's difficult to develop a peaceful, still state of mind. And it's difficult for our body to relax if we're involved in all kinds of busy activities.
중심 델티네 나가 로타바레실라 나가 나랑고 로마텐데 베바당 아메리카다 머스데 스이네야 덴데 리트시네다 나치 딘타레 살라텐데 시네 야 냠든 로후요시 리트시 런고라 곰잔 딘타레라 로레라 딘타레사 덴데 냠든 로후요시.
And so that's why I and my students take at least a week every year where we go into a retreat away from things for this purpose, for meditation.
ngayang retreat the listen do yo sin samsara ngarang jibendo pen ma mangboji la gongja ya dang ngarang retreat ne ani ne win bal tingi parola simla chepar pe chimodosi.
And I also will go into isolation for retreat and meditation sometimes. The difference between my meditation when I'm in daily contact and activities with people is quite different than when I go into isolation. There's a big difference in the meditation.
Meditation sinanda gom siade meditation siade same ge minda jirindosi. Same now na shabji tan yumara zubo nana zubo shabji tan yura same shabji tan go na gom jan nimbo tin ani.
So meditation is really like medicine for the mind. If we have sickness, pain in the body, things can be done, operations and so on, but there's no operating on the mind. If we need to treat the mind, this is what meditation is for.
Jase shiwa la ge song do a jase shiwa la ke nga chun di zubo ge na cha de ju le lao re si zubi na cha de min khang la thi da sa min ba ji ti na o churan sha ju ji ji me me ji si na zubo de sha ju le lao re si di na cha chung chung ji re si nga ju sem ge na cha de ba ma sin na cha do kya ani ni mong de cha xie dang de mo nga ja cha do ne do kya ne pe do kya sim de yi nga ju sim de.
So the great Bodhisattva of India, Shantideva, said that physical sickness and disease is relatively easy to cure. You can take medicine, you can go to a hospital, a doctor, get a prescription, some kind of diagnosis, and treat it. Whereas afflictions of the mind, ignorance, greed and anger and hatred, craving, these are more deep-seated illnesses, much more serious, much more difficult to treat. And to find a doctor to treat that, not just any doctor will do. You need a doctor who is as enlightened as the Buddha, someone who has that kind of perspective.
All the day the Tane same Goni Gom Jayat, Masi, same Corsina, same Tony Gom Jayat, Bekachimbocherisida.
So meditation on the mind itself is very important.
Gedang Chusia de Ji Lugoni San Sayada, Nagoni Chinimba Tanya Jin Dumban Doyadang, Singogoni Gomjaya La Sobachi Lu Nga Yi Sunguton in Royo de Zo Dita, Sama the Singuton in Dosi.
So there are physical and verbal practices as well that can be done in Dharma practice, such as prostrations, bowing, recitations of mantras and prayers vocally, as well as the meditation. But of all those three, the meditation, developing the mind, is most important. So now for meditation on the mind, having relaxed and set in a suitable position, balanced position of the body, then then the idea with the mind is to let it relax naturally, let it settle as it is. So particularly in the Kargyu and the Nyingma traditions of Tibetan Buddhism, there is a lot of emphasis put on shamatha meditation. This is a meditation of mental quiescence or stilling the mind. And within that, three facets are pointed out: stillness, movement, and awareness.
So
this is not saying that a person has three different minds or three different states of mind, but three different functions that are occurring. So stillness means when the mind is not thinking of anything at all, it's completely still, peaceful.
Holiday. Tomorrow is a Saturday. I want to go shopping. Maybe tomorrow is Saturday. I want to go see the movie. Some secrets. Tapena luchudala yojang same tondu si andachi. Luchudal. Tela and joasi. Nepang jodoyatelan joasi.
So then from within this stillness, there occurs thoughts. And when these thoughts arise, this is what's referred to as the movement. So say, you're sitting here listening to explanations of Dharma, but then your mind goes off to thinking of other things. There's some movement in the mind. Maybe tomorrow is Saturday, maybe I'll go shopping, or maybe I'll go to a movie. So out of that stillness, when there's a thought that moves, that arises, that's this second function we're speaking of, called movement.
Any Nepanjua, Rikpasita, Tamate Rikpasiti, oh, Rigmason, Mataki Gonja deva. Somebody young seemed to Koran Tongudua. Just one tonking Rikpatilla Rikpasiki.
And then awareness, this function here is being referred to as then the awareness that the mind has moved. So realizing that the idea is holding the stillness. When the mind moves, then awareness of that says, ooh, that's not where we're going. We're not following movement of mind. We're coming to the stillness. So the awareness is the awareness that the mind has moved, that a thought has arisen.
Tela nepan jua rikpas nen jurik sumsine.
So ne, abiding, or stillness, yu, kiba, movement, and rik, awareness. These three.
Ta tela tambo ke chimbo de karere sina nepa de jun ringa chi ne ya de. Ta te nga to chamal go yo. Nepa jun ringa me na ni.
So we're working towards more stillness. This is the idea of this meditation, to be able to still the mind, to be aware of the mind in a completely peaceful, quiescent state.
Ngai ta ba la go yo si. Don't be the monkey mind. Right? Ta piu ki sem da oche. Tende yong go yin na nepa de jun ringa chi la ne le thapsi zo go do si.
When the mind wants to jump around, what we need to do is to bring more stability, more duration to that stillness.
Tate lam kari thol ro ko si ta lam. Neba jun ringa ro ka lam. Tablam ni ting yin si tablam ni. Lam ni ka thola.
So then what path are we taking? There's two possible paths here.
Ngarang ke nyam nyong ko thoni chi chi yin si.
So I'm explaining one on the basis of my own experience.
Nga lo ni shi cha chi ko thoni Drubkhang na na ani lo sum dawa sum shama sum na de re si kap de du ta shine de gong yin si.
So when I was 21, I went into a long retreat, 3 years, 3 months, 3 days, doing this meditation.
Kap de du cha wala ma sanji tin ji rum bo chi ka kan de chi nga so la gong hlap so sin na.
And so what was the meditation that my guru, Sanji Tenzin Rinpoche, taught us?
Kharang ge sung de ngui pe yer chi la. Mek pe yer chi la. Mek yer chi la ben nan de me do de na. Me do de lan de si the kar si ne mek en de si ta na. Sem korang di shiba ke mek ji ge shiba de ni sem de yer korang la pa de ban da chi se ne. Mek shiba ji ne sem ge shiba de pa yer lan cho ji ne. Ani yer me do ge tho de ne sem de ne ke do ga men do ta na. De ji tablam ji tin so se te le tambu pa la pe ya bo ji de.
Yun rin lan, dun chi la.
Ta te ju ring a ji nga su gong le. Ju ring thong da ma xin de ge do tambu den ji slap song si.
So the first thing that he taught us was meditation using an object, an external object, such as this flower. And to...
Not only just follow the...
La sopa.
La sopa.
Indicate la sopa. And to keep your awareness flowing through your visual awareness. Now you're looking at, using your eyes in this case, the sense consciousness of the eyes, and keeping the mind on a constant view of that object, looking at it, and then noticing whether your mind strays from it or not, keeping your mind focused upon that object, something such as a flower.
La sopa se na inchi ka se re.
Such as.
La sopa.
It doesn't have to be a flower. It doesn't have to be a flower.
Such as.
La sopa. Such as a flower.
Such as a flower. Oh yeah. Ani kan ta chang. Tende se ni yer chi la mi pa te ne. Any make ship jun the same ship at the yellow day, and it never touch jig down.
So that was one method he taught us, was this keeping your awareness focused on an external object.
Oh, then they say, Tambo Teshi again, the Yerkatola. The Yerkatola, 다 주름보 젠듯이 삼노탄데 아니 유르되게 찐듯이 세네 아니 참사나 오늘 열 코랑 거 토라 시바 내근도 삼사 그러봐 신 내근도 삼사 랑도 초라던데 초라다 마제 아니 냠용무스 까마주 종아 니슈 숨지 된들라 딘디 내근도 없이 열 거 토라.
So explaining about this meditation, when you do it, sometimes you'll have this sense that your mind is abiding in that object, in that flower, for even 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time, 20 minutes.
타텔라 레 당보 박 곰자리 값을 융통라 장만보.
So for a beginner, the best way to practice is with frequent sessions of short duration.
짐신 강의시나
부타포스.
짐신 강의시나 부타포치. 다고 남도가 발 맞추와지. 강다제 곰세야 돼. 남도가 발 맞추와지. 남도가 레 맞춰와지. 근데 지금 거의 되잖아.
And the reason for doing it that way is that you're looking for a high quality of meditation that's not interrupted by discursive thoughts and mind wandering around.
까마 nga스지를 내내 심동 참에 여러 소라 내바이나야 심 코랑라 뒤가서 초라되라 아니 초라 만다와지 간이시는 남도 그 바르추요 말아와 남도 그 발 맞추와 인도자네 심 코랑 여러 토라 내 인도자네 심들라 동참에.
If your mind can even rest for 5 minutes in a meditation like this on an object, you get a very different experience because there's no thoughts interrupting the flow and the peace of your mind. You get a very spacious, peaceful feeling.
다 든디세네 아니 렘베지도 야도도 다들라 남도 그냥 바르추네 아니 좋아서라 든 좋아 든들렘니 값어.
Then after some time, and you notice there's movement in the mind.
좋아 든들렘니 값어. 아니 말아래 배송도와 좋아데 두캬 말이지.
Then
남도데 두캬 말이지.
Then in dealing with that, we remember the words of the great yogi Milarepa, who said that there's nothing bad about thought, about movement in the mind.
아니 좋아데 코랑 무슨 바이나
That if we
릭바가 무슨 바이나 아니 좋아데 내방알라 철시 틈로 그래지.
And that if we do bring up that awareness, the awareness that the thought has arisen, then that will bring it right back into the stillness.
Pena jamsole pe lambaina jamsode ne de bade ko jamso lus mayon jamso yo bade jamso khorang de ne bainde balap lus yuya de ko balap de ta nam to da chi balap ranji ke pha khorang ngal thimro bade ni ripa da chi ta.
So the stillness is like a flat ocean, waveless ocean. The movement is like a wave rising in the ocean, and then the awareness is the wave then dissolving back into the still ocean.
Tela malare pe khorang ko hloma ji la song do sim malare pe hloma de ke ani ta khorang gom jab so si tang de chane gom jab de chane ani nam do mang bo chi lep den de sen de ani chora gom jam son da chi dab so si de ani gom jam so jaya te tab de on dong si yin ya jam so na ni balam da nam do de yung de pe ka le kha bo to nam do yung de kan de chi go si de o da te chora kayan yu ma si 가연 지금 말이지 대지 남도 독자 남도 야본 상고 말이지 남도 코라는 거월 때나 아니 남도 코랑데 네번강나마 네번강나마 시eno 그러지.
So when Milarepa was giving instructions to one student about how to do meditation, and he said, meditate like the ocean. And the student, came back with the experience that meditating on the ocean was was fine, but the problem with thoughts arising, he asked what should he do about those thoughts, and Milarepa said, you don't need to do anything about them. You don't need to fix them, adjust them, do anything. If just by looking at them, just by recognizing their nature, that they will dissolve, they will settle back into the ocean. So, when you're meditating and thoughts arise, don't be upset with that. Don't think of it as something bad, but think of it as something to look at the very nature of it. Look right at the very face of it, the very essence of it, the thought. And when we do, then it will instantly be released. It's said that when that awareness is brought to bear on seeing that just the simple nature of the thought that has arisen without dealing with it in any other way, that the arising of the thought is simultaneous with its release, that it'll be released as soon as you are aware of it.
다 들으시도 아니 유링아 지라 검자나 다 나와 가시 로 가시 든드시는 검자리 값을 아니 다 something 냠시나다 등인지 냠.
So when you meditate like this for months and years, you get experience of concentration, experience of deep absorption, samadhi.
ngay namju peleng ge yosi toni ka tawa tang nyam ta tokpa se ya de ngay namju peleng ge yosi pe kan de ling ge sina me ta towa na shi nyam ta tokpa se ya de toni ka tawa toni tongpa ni se ya de tokpa se ya de me la pe ja towa de nyam da chi la.
So in the meditation with realization or awareness of emptiness, shunyata, or selflessness, I speak about realization and experience as being like fire and smoke. That the actual realization of it is like the fire, and getting some experience of it is like the smoke.
Pena me tangbo mabaleng huna toa na lo yongo doa. Oh, me yongo do da. Jumsin kan hin doa doa si. Ten de ji tangbo toni ka tawa ma ji huna ni nyam se ya de. Ne be nyam. De be nyam. Sa be nyam. De san ma to ba ka nyam da ma da. Sing ko chon nang da ma da. Yong ya yu si.
So when we're coming upon a fire, we'll see the smoke first. We'll see, there's smoke, there must be fire there, and we can go there and then see the fire. So similar to that, before we have the fire-like realization of selflessness itself, we get experiences of it. They're like getting closer to it, like seeing the smoke, which are experiences of bliss, of clarity, non-conceptuality, different kinds of experiences like this that approach it.
다 강답장 냠을 띠네 아니 돈이가 나왔으나 똑바로 지고 이러시 냠 나장네 아니 돈
And by getting more and more of this kinds of experiences on the basis of gaining experience in meditation, then we can actually have the realization.
근데 이제다 근데 신에 다 검잡네. 근데 세리 값을 레 담보 발라 검자리 값을 아니 요 리저크 쳤다도 소네. 른 통보지 간에 마 쳤침보지 사나. 아니 쳤데 빠마시 슈침보지. Now when
a person is new to this practice, beginner, then the flow of thoughts tends to be extremely rapid, forceful, like water falling down the mountainside, like waterfalls, or very swift water flowing down a steep slope.
It's
as if we have so many thoughts, nothing but just thoughts running through our mind.
다 곰진이 자린 고총 남도 짱짱다지 담보 남도를 마도 지어 매대는다지 된다는 거사르지.
So sometimes people who try meditation at first, they say, "Oh, I have all these thoughts." No, I didn't have that many thoughts before. Now, except when I start to meditate. And Rinpoche says, "Of course, you've never meditated before. That's what happens at first when you try to meditate."
어, 된대인도 자네. 다 된대지가 값을 아니 여름에 빠지라 셈때네. 다 루틴반이 와리셔 봐다 심틴반이 와리셔 봐서 팀반이 자지나는 시가 왔다. 내지고네 르니 라와서야 심 여지가 돌아는데 10몇 10지는 열을 때네. 근데 제세는 야보사리지.
And in such cases, it's good to take an object, such an external object like a flower, and just focus on it and just look at it. And so in this way we're practicing mindfulness, close placement of mindfulness on the body and on the mind.
아니 다 니버 값을 다 냠시네다 다 오서 약보지 차니 값을 아니 더 something 시나시네들 아니 교롱 그 쳐다도 다기 리자크 쳐대 마티 스티 발압디 냥도 손에 아니 교롱네 쳐봐봐 나지 아니 신데 남도도 디스 냥도 로여레시.
And after we've gained some experience with the meditation, then the flow of thought will slow down to a slow meander, like a river, which means that there's fewer thoughts rising more seldom.
이 값을 아니 make 열을 맞대는 데가 make 좀네.
So at that point, you can leave aside looking at an external object. You can close your eyes.
아니 이 값이 지 송나양, 대나양, 사나양, 아니 냔나양 다 메디테이션 파체 탑시 쪽으로 와지.
And we become more able to meditate with non-conceptuality, with a clear mind, with blissful experience.
어때도 자네 이 가서 남도에 간디 연근도 써야 돼. 단정도 간디 시시고 다 남도 망근도와 연근도 써야 돼. 다 소주 생고 단정시기요라. 생고 돈이 다 남도 망부 연근도와 하면도 소주 하고 요래시.
So we need to check, to see how many thoughts are arising or not.
Yine yang kadang begitu sini nampak, ini nampak kandi mampu yang itu menurut tadi, zubo telah made, ini telah diu kalpot ini mampu cija, telah diu nampak telah kasih cija, berapa? Ini cik nyumong ke nampak langsung betul, ini cik lem dijane diu nampak cik cija, ini cik se gebe nampak langsung betul, ini lem dijane ini cik kalpot ini jane, tak kang terjang. Nyumong lem dijane diu nampak sana. Ta tambu kapsu diu nampak jangjang. Ani pada diu kana nindranyam. Ani thama. Ani diu kalpo jangjang.
Ta sam yabo nena deni carpal negative.
Malang nan de kedua, nampak lang nan de kedua.
Ini yabo nena.
Nena kalpo malang de nampak lang nan de kedua. Ti kapsu.
Napo lang. Napo yabo rebe.
Mari nampak. Se nampak je na nampak je lang nan de kedua.
Ini kyan
ta
nampo yabo je gewa je lang.
Gewa de je na pe na toni gom de sidi ninje ta samba la so ba de je sigarwa.
Then two carpal.
Ti ka se de kalpo lang nan de kedua.
So when these ancient Tibetan masters of the Kadampa tradition would meditate, what they would do is keep a supply of white and dark stones, and anytime they noticed a movement of the mind that was particularly negative, afflicted, then they put a dark stone to one side. And if they noticed that the mind was remaining peaceful or remaining in a compassionate state, then they would make a pile of white stones on the other side. And at first there was a lot of the darker stones. Eventually they were evened out, and then eventually became more of the white stones. So the mind turning in a positive or a virtuous direction.
다 되게 아니 림베지다 신내래 되게 곰 되게 시게 값서 아니 신내 타마데 아니 점소 나오시 내바 타마라니 지
So finally then the meditation reaches a state of stillness where that flow of thought stops and your mind becomes like the ocean, as if the water had reached the ocean.
디 값서 아니 지 내바던 조아다 릭바시야 그 대치지야 요 말이지 타마 참마코랑 조아당 아니 지 릭바당 참마코랑 내방항을 쳐존.
And at that point, the other two functions of the movement and the awareness that brings the movement back into the stillness, both of those have at that point entered into the stillness. They're absorbed into the stillness. So that stillness is all that remains.
근데 지금 값을 아니 지 공그 현대양 배 통통 나오지라. 배나 지가랑 게 로직 공자인 삼나 지 초월라 축소지 끼찍찍 섬에서 마송되는데.
In that state of meditation, time can pass very quickly. You can think that you're going to meditate for a year and it seems to pass in an instant.
So there
was a spiritual master in Tibet before that had gone with a group at one point on a pilgrimage to Lhasa in Tibet.
아니 라사는 놀이 값었다 랑관이 고란수 자꾸 있는 데는 시고라 자꾸 있는 이마들 자꾸 있어요.
And on the way, the party stopped to make some tea.
아니 디 라마데 그 딱바레시라 메냐 고랭 마세 고랑 메나 메냐 고랭 마 롬바데 메냐리 노아 고랑 메나 고랭 마시 곰조랭 보자가사레 고랑 메냐 고랭 마세 메나 들리도아.
This person's name was Minyak Gomrimpa, Gomringwa, meaning that he was from the area of Tibet called Minyak, and that he was someone who did long meditations. Gomringwa, that was his name.
에 고란수 자꾸 있는데 세도 아니 뭐 가시 처리는 송 가시 신도 알송 아니 가시 그 탁바자 다 탁바 자고라. 다 된데 제대로 아니 라마데 신두가라 송도와 신컬 송도는 제대. 그런 남자 곰자야 가오이데 신두살라 칠봉든데 사자 코냐고 아니 니마 좀보 어디잖아. 아니 그런 신마도 같이 신자라 아니 곰자는 대도와.
So some of the party went off to gather wood, some to get water, some to build the stove. And this Lama, he went off to gather some wood. But where he found the wood was in a beautiful meadow. There was warm sun coming in. It was so pleasant. They thought he'd do some meditation. So everyone brought back the wood and the water, and they made the tea, and they ate and had tea. And this Lama, he never showed up. He never arrived back.
And they looked
all over for him, but couldn't find him.
And
so finally he said, well, forget it, leave him there. We don't know where he went. We'll just have to leave him. And they went on with we'll just have to go ahead with our pilgrimage. And they went on to Lhasa for 6 months. They were doing circumambulations and different pilgrimage activities in Lhasa. And eventually they headed back, and they got back to that same place where they'd made tea before.
And
they thought, well, this is where we lost our Lama last on the way before. And they thought they'd look and see if they could see what happened.
The Lama and
then they saw him, they found him sitting in this meadow meditating.
And in magic Lama Chukara Lama say Lama Gomjan is
and so it was one of the persons who shook the Lama, says, "Hey, Lama, what happened? What's going on?" And he says, "Oh, has the tea boiled?" So meditating on his mind itself, the 6 months had passed for him in an instant.
When
your mind is completely absorbed in an object like that, so this is one of those paths that I mentioned where you can take an object like that to focus on, to observe.
And
the other path, the other way, is to meditate on the very nature of the mind itself. Eyes closed, not looking at an external object, looking inwards at the mind itself. And so we are, turning inward, meditating on the mind itself, even though it doesn't have any particular shape or color, no white or black or any particular color or round or square shape, but turning the awareness directly upon the mind inwardly.
다 맹아 치신데 가리도 쓰나 마주바 다 샘도 야부지 연구상 봐 근데 많이 봐 코랑 샘 남도 가르쳐서나 샤지네 샤르니 값을 향기가 어때를 쳤다 샘 코랑라.
So the guideline here 양계수나
세 값을 생 코랑 그 남도대 가르쳐서나 향기 코랑 그 샘은 어를 쳤다.
So now the most important kind of instruction for this meditation is that is to not fix it. Don't adjust it, don't remedy it. The idea is that to not to think that there's anything wrong or incorrect or improper that's going on, nothing to be remedied, nothing to be fixed, but simply to look at the very essence, the very nature, the very face of what is arising in the mind. Not trying to do anything with it, but just observing it, recognizing it. So the saying goes that the the unrepaired mind is clear, just like water that's left to sit. Muddy water, if the silt is allowed to settle to the bottom, the water becomes very clear if it's not stirred up. And so in other words, not stirring up the mind, not trying to say, oh, this is wrong, I've got to fix it, I've got to do something with it, but rather just observing its very nature, letting it settle, just like water, muddy water in which the silt settles to the bottom, it becomes clear.
다 델라얀 텐데시네 아니 생 낭라타나네 곰자리 값서 다다 나히 양 냠당보세 거라티 리자금 바치당 조롱 추당 점소 침보 나히 거랑 텐데시네 생남도든 로탕단의 유리시.
And as you do that, then you'll notice these different stages of the flow of thoughts, like the water running down the mountain, like coming to a more slowly flowing river, and then reaching the ocean.
다디 대치니데 남부추가 깨자 많이 봐. 생 간데스세네 시와라 뚜꾸고 요미. 생 간데스세네 십대라 꾸고 요미. 남부추가 깨자 말아와.
So this is not necessarily specifically Buddhist talk. You know, this is simply we're talking about mind. We're talking about awareness and thoughts, right? And so this is the kind of thing that anybody could work with. It would not necessarily have to be specifically Buddhist.
Buddhist nangba게 lakwada pe nangbala ani yedam ani dunje nangkhala ani sanji chomde de ko chik samlas na ta nangba chi imba ina ani tambo ko nyingkhala semte ko thuka tela ani rang semte me pa che chi de de la gomja ta tende si lokso yoris.
Dampo ne amena.
Dampo shine gomni kapsane.
Now Buddhists, when they meditate on do this kind of meditation, they will take a object of the form of a Buddha and visualize it at their own heart and focus single-pointedly on a Buddha at their own heart as an object of this kind of meditation.
초와다 그바시네 다 남도라 남도 나니 용어요 신라 생화당 생구니세 다 생구니나 양데도 생세야데 아니 니당 목바당 Any Kala Mambosa, Ningon Jabloda, Nima Tao, the Dekanana, Kala Jackson Satanasina, any Mopati Yungu, Mopasiade, any Nigas on it. Sometimes you Rodoa, sometimes I thought it was so gold Jalikashi, and the Sinigo. Oh, the Dish, sometimes Sinwat is.
So two different kinds of thoughts can arise, obstructing meditation, referred to as sinking and excitement, where the sinking refers to sluggish, dull kind of awareness. For instance, if we've had a good meal and it's nice and warm in the afternoon or something, we're trying to meditate and we start falling off to sleep, becoming very foggy and dull in our awareness. This is the kind of sinking that occurs.
Tea capsule, any to lot up square, to Loma and do stop that. Any Zupotes, a total time do you say? Any Zupotes, Yama total and you say.
So the thing to do if that occurs is to take off a little bit of your clothing, get a little cooler, stretch a little bit, look up in the sky, to shake off that kind of sinking awareness.
Maybe sometimes coffee is good for you also. Right there, yeah. This is not coffee. This is just water.
This is coffee.
Yeah, this is coffee. Okay. Any good say the young, this is good say good so say the young chi nam chi dramo. Any shokan how. Any chi the nucleus young kala to tomba, kala meli cups. The nuki cups jeans in a young gomjali cups, young monkey man. Tandamada younger is group of sort of young, Namdo Mampo, then the sinner.
Now, the other kind of obstruction in meditation of thoughts arising, excitement, this tends to occur early in the morning when you're feeling your body's kind of cool, where the mind is just very excited to think about lots of different thoughts.
That tea cups, target dog shock young. Target to lock pa the Chiva. That dog shock. This to lock trombo.
So the remedy in that case is kind of the opposite, kind of wrapping yourself up a little more, bring the mind down a little bit, relax it a little bit. Don't look.
Maybe this time is good for a little bit yogurt.
Yogurt might be good to eat.
Get to see that, right? Yogurt,
so in Tibetan kind of lore, we say that if you eat yogurt, it'll make you sleepy. Cause you to go to sleep.
That can't that the day say any lam tony. Takare de yunaya sosolani, so she come like in Turkonai.
So these are two ways that meditation can be pursued, two different ways. And you can work with whatever's more comfortable or convenient for you.
Any Tangaju, the rain Shiva to Zo Mayimba, Nyam the Chiran to Dilla, Chaman Zom to the Shede, Matunyam the Gom Chuksiji.
So not to leave it all as talk this evening, we want to practice, so let's meditate some together.
Tajiran Shine Gomni Kapsu, Neta Shine Gomdang Mi Labimba, Jik Casalotin, Yulatin, Jik Castle Nanolotin, Simlataya. Tate Kare Dinaya, Nichiran to the Shine, Mazukalmangala Gomdi Jaginda.
So for about 5 minutes, let's take one of these methods, whichever is most comfortable to you, either of focusing on an external object or internally focusing on the mind.
Taten de sene gonja li kapse. Kan ta chang a zu nyu mong ba ke nam to ta nyam de me li chi ta. Pe na. Ta nyu mong le zhar de ba chi. Nyu mong ke le ma yo wa chi ta nam to de la. Ma da de to ni ke ngo sin na gom de la. Nyu mong ke le ma yo wa chi go yo le chi.
So we meditate on selflessness and do this kind of meditation. We are seeking to separate our mind from delusions, to separate our mind from afflicted, disturbing states of mind, such as ignorance and craving and anger.
Pena dambu nyumong la tru. Gom dambu kapse nyumong la tru. Nibe kapse nyumong la tap. Sunbu kapse nyumong zhuo la xia si. Ya bo do wa.
Dambu?
Le dambu bu kapse nyumong la tru.
Tru sana de
Ba de da na ro zhuo shi tru.
tungore.
Tru zhuo la. Ta nga to something si ne win ba la do hui wa. This is called tru yo la. Nyumong dambu nyumong la tru. Ba de nyumong la tap. Ta nyumong la tap ko yo la. Tap se ne chu ba jiao. Zeng. Tam zeng si. Ni ba nyumong la tap. Sun ba nyumong zhuo shi xia.
Di su sungore? Su
Ta de
chitang.
jie dang de yo ri do dang ta ma.
So we speak about the attitude or the approach towards these delusions in 3 different stages. That for a beginner, the beginner needs to extract themselves from it. They need to take themselves out of a situation where there's delusion, such as going to an isolated place to remove themselves. Now at an intermediate level, then the delusions are dealt with. They're challenged. They're fought. You could say they're challenged and dealt with. Then, in the 3rd stage, then the delusions themselves are experienced as liberation. Sumba di nyumondi,
Zhuo shi xia.
The 3rd stage, those delusions appear as liberation, appear as release, liberation.
Ta gang ta jiang qiran zu du shui de shi yu na, du shui de shi ra su na. Ta nge cha ma le wa de ji ge. Gom ja go le shi qiran zu. Ba ma se ge jin bo le. Nge de ta gong le xie yin ba. Ma mang bo ji la. Mang ki man ta sim de de ji ge. Ani sim ko na cha le. Ani zu bin na cha le. Zu bin na cha de nga zu ju tu gu do a. Min kang nang zhou le ju tu gu do le lao da. Sim ko na cha de rang ge ma do ju tu gu ma da. Rang ge ma do ju tu gu ma do a. Rang ge ju tu gu da. Nga rang ge ju tu gu le. Min ba nga rang le. Min ka le ri gong le xie ya. Min da gom ja ya de.
Men rang re. Menpa nga.
Min ba nga rang rang le meditation.
So
So
I would have one great hope for all of you, that that you would try to get a chance to do some meditation, to find some time to do some meditation, because it's so important. If our mind is disturbed, it can cause the imbalances and sickness in our body. Our body, we can ask for help with a healer or a doctor. But as far as our mind is concerned, we're the ones that need to treat it. We're the only ones that can treat it. Through meditation, it's like we're the doctor. We're the doctor that needs to apply the meditation, the medicine.
Meditation is just like the medicine for the mind. me mambo ji ge ta jin de ba se ya de ji ta ji ya bo ji yong go sam ba kan de ba shu qin bo ji ma cha ma la de ba shu qin bo ji ta ya bo ji yong go de le jiang xin bu to ne ya bo ji yong go ji xin le xi wa go xin le de wa go bi ji ji me tam sang go yo ji ta tablam ji le ma xin ro sa mi do ta ngai sam na tablam ji de ga ren de xin na le xin na gom ja ya de rang sim rang dagbo ja ta takpa rechil rang sim rang sim dagbo ja.
So everyone, has such strong wishes for happiness and for peace. And I feel that really this is the only way that it can be found. By relaxing our bodies, relaxing our mind in meditation. So people have, prosperity, they get everything they need materially, but it doesn't lead to mental happiness. In fact, sometimes it just aggravates the mental state more. So meditation is the method we need for mental happiness. So I'm going to ask a question now about emptiness. So what is the result of emptiness? What happens when you understand shunyata? So I'm asking the question, and I'm going to propose an answer also.
Any gumbo pala. Gumbo bag, the questions did lane the yard, trees, malare pala. Tangala Tony Chidu, Tombani Tunchi, the Kanda younger city, and in Malarepe, simply masses. Should I? That is always.
So this was a question that Milarepa's disciple Gampopa asked him. What will happen if I understand emptiness? And Milarepa says, don't worry about that.
He
said, you just apply yourself continuously to the methods of meditation I've given you.
Same Tony, dang Nishi Timo Mayimbaji. Oh, that thing Reja. Wow. Somebody Nishi Timo Mayimbaji, Rang Simni, Tetom Tani Magawachiki, Simgan Yekasarisi.
He said that at some point there will arise in your mind, insight, definite ascertainment that you will have no doubt about.
The Nimachigla, that the Rakes Risra, that the name is an Nimotela Timolare Pake Pagin Alas, that Chrank Nazavalaman, La Sanji Mugdeba, wow, Tangune Tisuyat, Tendre, Sambachi Sanji Udeba. Any Maki Simjin de la Tumo Mayimba Ninji. Any Tony Katawa the Gom Janicas and many Chimara, Jimmy and Chimashona. Jumsin Kainsina, that are the motto of Simjin and Koal and Chaba, nearly G. Sambak. That are the motto of Simjin and Koal and Chaba, nearly G. Sambak. Ninji Shukchimboji Sondoa.
So he said that when you understand this selflessness, this emptiness, shunyata, that is ultimate nature of yourself and all phenomena, that at that moment you will have this awe. Awe will arise in your mind that I, he's talking about, Milarepa is talking about himself, your old father, he said, is a real Buddha. He says at that moment you will know that I am a real Buddha. And then also when you look at sentient beings, you will feel a profound compassion arising in yourself, thinking how sad it is that they don't understand this, that they can't be, that they suffer as a result. So these will be the results of your having that kind of insight, that kind of realization.
Any dotang Ramanala Shabji, Ganji, that is called there, Ya Lamda Yundi Chiris. The Lamda Yundi Chishi Yashute, Yashute, Yaki, Sositawa Lamana, but a Marquis Simjin and Hinjiat. Any dig of Tony, Musan Trunicaps. Wow, when it tended Rija Samba. Tata Rampa, you can't get you Malandis in Tong the cups. Oh, that telepinchun Rosa Mendo Sambachik. Jacha Jack. That Tajik told the choose at it. Tajik told the choose at that you must say.
So some people might have the wonder that the results of such meditation would be supernatural abilities like to fly through the space or pass underground or through water, or to be able to take solid rock and mold it in your hands or something like that. But really the best signs of this meditation are exactly those which I mentioned, feeling amazing conviction and faith in the holy beings, such as one's guru and the Buddhas, and having very deep compassion for living beings. And then also having a definite ascertainment in one's mind, without doubt that one is seeing the actual nature of things.
Anyway, the job is able to. They are Namjung Zadawara, Tawara, lucky you this. Indeed, the Yawashi, and indeed, chance on pin to you now. And marching out in Yamde, Lulu in the margin laggings.
So this is a verse that we recite, we use in our practice, daily and weekly practice. And so you may find something helpful in these words. So let's read them slowly together. In English. Don't wander, don't wander. Extend mindfulness. On the path of distraction lurk demonic bandits. Attachment and aversion are the demons. So look at the illusory nature, released from duality. Primordially pure, unfabricated, one's own mind manifesting. Buddha is nowhere else. Settle right where you are. Not seeking it elsewhere. Settle in the natural state. Without meditation, spontaneously established, enlightenment is attained.
Yeah, I need to learn to draw to into do you know?
If anyone has any questions they'd like to ask at this time.
When you use the word mind, most of us think of the mind as up here, outside of the body. But I think what you're talking about, the mind is actually in the heart of the body. Would you address that?
아니, I'm wrong la yala. Me mangchewa semdi zupo chilo la dek yes. Ini akyang somebody je sem zupo na de already call sorona.
so slow same as the
I don't know about this idea of mind existing outside the body. That seems a little strange to me.
Seems the one book go make zo da te ro rixa. The Nichike Yurge Bena Zok down, make Shibata, Navi Shibata, Naishiba. The Nichi Shibi Kanon Gini. Ta same got all about the Nindro Yuris. The day do Zani, that Sinde Bag here do lay back na lep zelatina and send the dog Yuris in a Sire Mabuchi Shiris. Nagata seems at England to Yade, Ning Koran Yuris in the same Ning Dodo, Tele Yuris Shake you master. Ning Dodo Koran seniors shake a mother. Yin the young, the Zupu canter chick Zupo Yonsos of a Chashi Chigla, same day. But you go at it, star.
So awareness operates through the sense consciousnesses, the sense faculties of the visual, auditory, olfactory, gustatory, and tactile consciousness. Being aware of visible forms, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, and so on. And now scientists tend to say, to locate mind in the brain and say that mind arises in dependence on the brain. Now what I'm saying, I'm not saying that there's something solid in your heart, that your mind is there in a kind of a solid ball in your heart. But I would say that with the consciousness of the body and of the sense faculties, that consciousness of necessity does pervade the body. It is there in the body because we can sense things.
I didn't understand what you meant by the third stage, the delusions of liberation.
Nyumon Drubkhang Sumpa Rinpa Sumpati. Nyumon Dambo Tu and Tab and Sumpati Karsa.
Nyumon Trolley Charles. Nyumon Trolley Chasiate, this young Tombo Gajaris, Tapen a gum Tombochi left at the capsule, Pena to Chintelopa, Naropa, Marbalota, Malarepa, Yaga to Chinjitola, and it's the chat she down the more last of the sock, good to Commodores. Nyumon Trolley Shadows, Injimini Gondos. The ladies and the Sahaka cups, and it's in Nyumon Trolley Chasiade, this is gone and Tombi cups.
So this third stage is actually talking about quite a high level of realization where delusions are instantly released upon recognition. It's talking about the kind of realization the great Mahasiddhas like Tilopa, Pandit Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, these great meditators and masters had, where they can use objects of the senses or of delusion, say drink alcohol or something, and not be affected at all by it, not having any kind of delusion arise. All of those deluded things are instantly released for them in full enlightenment. So it's this tantric practice. It's a high level of tantric practice.
Not yet for you,
Everybody said, not yet for you.
Okay.
In meditation on the nature or the essence of the mind, is it a matter of just being present for as whatever arises in the moment, or is there a way to be aware of awareness itself without getting caught up by what awareness is aware of?
Sem ngola tana, ani di sem gari lamba di kechik rela taya dirabe, yamena sem krang ngola tatsu yorbes.
Kichi karasa.
Kisi rana namto gare langya di kisi le mi thaya. Tegas tus dene ni gare jongwa di mi tha. Ni young mena gare to a tet so mara yinia namto meba ge namshi rana thaya tasa tatsu yorebes.
생건 all 안되시 달리 값어 남도 참말아 요리시 이네 남도 각당되라 다 남바 남으라 영어에 다당에 공도 시바나지 카시가 남도의 주요리 카시가 남도라 탑요리 카시 남도 조를 시작요라 다 배나 대 소식 감던 느발 되는 거야 딱 너도 시에도 남도의 독자 인상 봐 다때 먹고 배때 독자 인상 봐라 근데 메시네 생코라가 올라 따니까 남도 통도 남도 코라가 올라 따도 남도 통도 두냐서 샤도 두냐서 남도 샤와도 냠도 좋아 냠다 배나 도치나 카와 바바 나지스 도 자월라 카와 밤나 카와 바바는 냠도 카와 요마와 디나지 남도 샤와도 냠도 좋아 남도 샤와도 냠도 좋아 샤도 두냐서
Okay, so as I mentioned, there's different ways of dealing with thoughts as they arise. There's, the idea of we could say also different ways of dealing with them or getting rid of them. But that first stage is the one where the person simply feels, this is bad, I don't want this, I got to get away from that thought, get it out of my head, go someplace where the stimulus for that is not there, and so on. And whereas at the second stage, there would be a dealing with the thoughts, working with them, combating them, challenging them, and then in the third stage, this release upon their arisal, they're being released upon their appearing, and so. What I would say was at least don't work with that first method where thinking that the thoughts are bad and try to fight them or get rid of them like that. And it is a matter of simply watching what comes up in the mind at every moment, and thoughts are there, yes. So just being aware of them, not fighting them, but through this method of simply recognizing their nature, simply looking at them, looking at their very nature, their very essence as they arise, that will take us into this non-conceptual state of meditation where we're simply looking at the awareness itself free of thought. So that will happen, and the example is given is like snow falling on hot pavement. As soon as it hits the pavement, it melts, dissolves. So that is what happens at that final stage. We're looking at the nature of the thought that arises, but it takes you right into the nature of the non-conceptual awareness itself.
Are there breathing techniques or fasting or diets that are beneficial for meditation?
Kala Zatang yang kala mize saya yorebe gongaya gom la pento cheyala. Kala mize yamena kala Zatang.
Sötse Rinpoche 사고다. 망보 수나 등에 다기 공시야. 아니 망보 수 작세 수나 아니 근데 요거도 와. 아니 저거 또 동말 시나 아니 초와다 그바셔야 돼. 말에 생화다 그바돼. 칼라 망보 수나 생화래. 윤용 수나 그바래. 칼라 rinpoche 아니 초대 선통.
So the guideline I would say would be eat a suitable amount of food. Not too little, not too much. Because as I mentioned, there's those problems that arise in meditation. With overeating, you tend to get this sinking, dull feeling, where not having enough in your stomach, then you tend to be excited and have lots more thoughts rising. So a moderate amount of food. It's just right, and then some water. Drink some water.
I think one thing is very good for the no dinner. Right? Gonda kala mazune terape yaposari. Tada tera was the detention te pena the Thailand and Sri Lanka and Burma tindeke gonda kala tsan in chugumari. Ani sanji chomdi de sha yuli kapso yang gonda kala tsan in chugumadawa. Tende indu tsane gonda kala mazuya ina sani shoka ya lang ne ani gom jaya ter chebar dowa. Gonda kala jaksik sa sani gom jaya ta gonda kala mazu ne sani shoka gom jaya tinjila simle chebar dowa tisa.
Now, one point about that was that there is benefit in skipping dinner. Now, monks in the Theravada tradition, like Sri Lanka, keep this tradition, and when Buddha was alive, this was the rule, that you didn't eat an evening meal. And when you don't, then it makes a big difference with your meditation in the morning compared to if you've had a heavy meal the night before.
Yeah. Tatare achu ne go song si chiran chu nyam de chuten chi xie. Chiran zo le pin to yuri. So de chu xie de gaps. La wa de dong ni go xie de gaps. Rang de nyam nyong ge to ne. Nyam nyong si ja chen bo ma le yo ma. Nyong nyong ji yu de xie de gaps. Ngarang le pin do ja chen bo jin do si. Yen ta ba le tu ji chi si chiran cha ma.
So I'm so very happy to be able to conduct this session of Dharma with you again, and I hope it was beneficial for you, but I know it was very beneficial for me to have the opportunity to talk about these subjects, especially the shunyata. Because I can speak a bit, from the point of view of my own experience on this subject.
Only little bit experience. I think I trained that the children choose senior, they choose share, they gave us our tema on the Kunung Juba 19, now Tanya Basinji, take a cheater. Any Tony Toy show Samala, any sailor Shivata Deva Young show, singing a Monam doing the Insipugera.
So you've listened to these words, I've spoken them. Let's make a dedication of the positive energy we've created, just like with the motivation that we set, for the sake of all living beings throughout space, for them to be conjoined with happiness, free of suffering. May all living beings realize shunyata, selflessness, their ultimate nature, and have peace, happiness. So I'm going to say a prayer to that effect. So please pray, make a dedication prayer along with me.
Tony Doba Rinpoche Maji Bana Jije Jiba Nyamba Mibaye Gomne Gomde Pewa Sho Simjin Tamje Dedan Dinje Jing Ro Tamje Dada Domba Sanje Simba Kanda Seryoba Deda Gunje Molan De Bahai Sho. Thank you.